Hello. So, all right. So I'm always going to say this until I can find a way to get better equipment and to figure this all out. I am always going to say, excuse the quality of the video. Right now, it seems a little grainy. However, you can see me, you can hear me. This is a no frills type of environment. It's a Friday night, and I have some things to share. I go by Spirit Lifters, by the way. I don't do the whole intro. I don't say subscribe. If you like, if anything I say touches your heart, and if there's something about me that resonates with your spirit, then feel free to follow me, and to see what else I have to say. Um, I promised Talisi of our Black Utopia that I would do this. And I'm a woman of my word, so I am doing this. So it's Friday night, and Friday night used to be so hard for me a couple of years ago. Um, I'm a very busy woman, right? It seems like I'm a lifelong student. I have a friend who said that to me. I'm a career student. Excuse me. I cannot disagree. Even though I have four more classes left for my master's degree, and I'm in two certification programs on the tail end of one and on the onset of another. um, I'm forever going to be in school. There's tons of things that I want to learn. Like, I'm a woman of a big age and I don't know how to really swim. That's first on the list. I am Panamanian and I don't speak fluent Spanish. I'm a Panamanian who desires to live in Panama with my A team, my two children, and my son. And I speak Spanglish, right? My parents are bilingual, obviously, but they didn't teach us Spanish. I love the language. I can salsa, I can bachata, I can merengue. Um, I can read it and understand it for the most part, but I have a hard time conjugating verbs, past and present tense. Anyway, so Spanish is something that I want to learn. So I digress. I do that a lot. Um, it's Friday night and I'm feeling really, really good. I'm feeling really, really whole. And once upon a time, Friday nights were hard for me. I remember one Friday night, I went to the liquor store and I bought two bottles of wine, polished off one. And when I polished off that one, I was finally able to fully articulate to the man who broke my heart, the man I had been with for 10 and a half years. Um, I was able to kind of just tell him how he did me was not okay. Now he has excuses. Now, while he loved me well, treated me like a queen. I got roses just because. I got, I traveled to about seven different places with him. Vancouver, uh, the last being Kemet in 2020, which was very spiritual, very meaningful. That's when I met one of my sisters who's a part of my tribe to this day. Um, where did we go? We went to St. Thomas, St. Croix, Italy. Um, you get my drift. You get my drift. Vegas. We've been places. Costa Rica. We never made it to Panama, which is interesting. But I had an issue with Panama, and I'll save that for another um, episode or video. But I remember the Friday night that I drank the bottle of wine because I felt so alone. I can't even say that I'm lonely or I was lonely because I don't really subscribe to that. I am full, my life is full and busy, you know. Um I have a grandchild, I have adult children, and there's always something to do to spend time with. Like I said, I'm always involved in something, mentoring, writing, um, planning. Um, I'm just always into something, and I'm going to tell you how many things I'm into throughout at some point in this share. But and then I remember the following week, I went and I got a case of Yingling. So I'm not a big drinker. Once in a blue moon, Friday nights feel good to me to have a glass of something. Right now, I'm sipping on something, a prosecco. But uh, that Friday night, I went and I got Yingling, and I drank four of them, four bottles back to back. And my son came home and he said he's not used to seeing me like that. I rarely drank around my children. And he was like, Mom, please tell me you didn't drink these four. And I was like, I sure did. And I realized that I was sad. I don't know if I was depressed. I was sad. And the thing is, my former fella and I, we didn't spend time together a lot during the week unless we were traveling. We were more of a weekend couple. So by Friday night, there was excitement about what we're going to do for the weekend. He's coming to me, I'm going to him, yada, yada. And, but the other thing that happened to me that year, in addition to sadness, was I felt the profound loss of having a covering. When you're involved with a man, at least for me, you know, you have you have a covering. I'm a 4'11" woman, so I'm not very big, not very tall. And I never felt really comfortable being out in the world late at night, right? I'm just now at that place where I don't even think about it. A friend of mine said to me the other day, he said, "Oh, you're out at night. You're okay with that?" And I didn't even realize it because I had kind of moved out of that place. But when we first broke up, I really had a hard time going out. And then there was so much things going on in the world. For whatever reason, I just felt like I just wanted to go home, go to work. I work remotely Monday and Tuesday. I work in the office Wednesdays through Friday, and I felt like I just wanted to. Um, Not that I felt like I actually did it. On Friday, I came home. I had my groceries delivered, and I did not leave my house until Wednesday when it was time for me to go back in the office. Um, and I just felt unsafe. I felt um I felt like my covering, the male presence in my life that I relied on for a certain level of protection, um, who escorted me to everywhere, family functions and part, we didn't hang out a lot. I always told him my favorite space, my favorite place, even though he had taken me all over the world, my favorite place was inside of his arms. I always said that. And I was always grateful for him for 10 and a half years for um, holding my hand through life. So Friday nights were really, really hard. And so it's so beautiful for me to be here on a Friday night feeling whole, feeling happy. Now, there are things going on in my life that I have to compartmentalize that's very painful, that's connected to someone that I love, an extension of me that I love dearly, you know. And it's only because of the grace of God am I able to process and propel myself forward in positivity. Process, propel myself forward in positivity, knowing and trusting that my negative thoughts have no power and my positive prayers and thoughts have all the power. So my negative thoughts and fears have no power, but my positive thoughts and prayers have all the power when it comes to that situation. So I affirm, I give thanks, I envision what I want for my beloved, And then I walk through the world with light and love, trusting that that will reflect on or reverberate onto my loved one. And I'm not even someone who does things, I'm not a loving person because I want people to do for me. But in this instance, this situation is so dire that I have to trust that the goodness I go that I'm putting out in the world will come back to me, but trust that I would put goodness out in the world regardless, because that's just how I'm wired, right? Okay, I digress. Like I said, I do that a lot. So break up, break down, break through, wholeness. After 10 and a half years, my fellow went to another part of the world, decided to start a business. And um, according to him, things got out of control. He invested a lot of money fast, made poor decisions, and it cost him. It literally cost him financially, but it also cost us, right? My forever fella was stuck, mm, or had made a decision to follow through with what he started, eventually get involved with someone else, or be involved the whole time. Who knows, right? But I do know that for the 10 and a half years, there was loyalty. I do believe that, you know. And even if there were some moments, who knows? I don't judge, don't even care really anymore. But I know that I was loyal. And I know that he treated me extremely well. He did things for me that I know, first of all, we were together longer than some married couples. And he treated me better than a lot of men I've seen, observed. He left a hell of um, a trail to follow, a hell of an example to follow. And the pain was hard, guys. That I did everything. First, I tried a dating. I tried this line app. I didn't tell most people, right? Because I secretly held on and waited for him for 2 years. You know, I didn't tell anybody. Of course, I was big and bad, and oh, he this, he that. But I secretly waited for him for 2 years. Just trying to see what is going on with my clothes. This is a head wrap. But anyway, I held on for 2 years and waited for him. Um, and in the meantime, while I did that, I did everything. I joined an organization, a friend of mine organization to distract myself. I tried dating. I went on a couple of dates. And then as I was getting away from the heartache, I circled the block with one of my lawyer lovers and then one of my lovers from my 20s. Had a good time. Had a good time. Okay. This is grown folks talk. Okay. Because I am a woman of a big age. I am seasoned. Let's be clear. So I did all of that. And then I was like, I said all the things. I spoke to him regularly. I would leave voice text messages or text him or, talk to him about how I was feeling. I wasn't shy, but I'd still realize up until the night that I drank the bottle of wine, there was still a lot of things that I needed to say, like plainly, like this was fucked up. How after 10 years you decided to handle things because he never ended it with me. I had to finally say, we have to call this. We have to call this. You know, you're not. And he was like, well, babe, if it means that I have to go to and see this business through, then. And he still never called it. But this is the thing. I had a dream in February. I had a dream in February that we were in this room, and the room could have been the Caribbean. It could have been, it was a restaurant or Africa. Because, in the Caribbean and Africa, the walls are painted very. And we were at this table, and this woman dressed in black She's thicker than I would have expected him to be because he always said I was the thickest woman he had ever been with. When he met me, I was smaller, but my daughter had a devastating pregnancy. And as she gained weight, I gained weight with her because we ate. We did a lot of food, comfort food, and blah, blah, blah. Very, very stressful time. And he said I was the biggest woman he had been with. So in my dream, this woman is dressed in all black. She has natural hair and she's a beautiful woman. And she just comes and she's just talk. He and I are holding hands at the table. We're holding hands at the table and we're being our usual self. We had a very playful, intellectual, grown and sexy relationship. And and she's just standing there talking to him, not regarding me at all. She did not regard me at all. And it was very unlike him. And again, this is in the dream. It was very unlike him to not immediately introduce me to someone. Fast forward, fast forward, and um, I could tell there was something between them, right? And the next thing you know, I think she stands there and she's clearly not moving. So I think I finally had to say something like introduce myself. And she's looking at him the whole time. She's not really acknowledging me, looking at me. And then, long story short, the next scene in my dream is he says, yeah, I love her. He said, either I love her or I'm in love with her. I can't remember. And the next scene is he's in a small room laying across the bed. I straddle him and I say, "Well, I'm here to say goodbye." And he says, "I don't really have to say you don't." He shrugs his shoulder like, "You don't really have to say goodbye." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to share you or." And he goes, and I am bawling in the dream and I wake up and my pillow is soaked. I call him and I tell him about the dream. And then the next thing you know, I'm at my desk and he FaceTimes me and he tells me he bought a ticket half around the world away from me, 25 hours away. Now, the thing is, he never said he was thinking about doing this, none of that. I had just moved into this house and he gave me the down payment to buy this house. He gave me $58,000 to buy this house. Okay. I had to qualify. But my qualification now, this is the third house I've purchased. The first two I did on my own. Well, my ex-husband would say he contributed. Um, the second one was 100% on my own. And he set me up well. He paid for the house to get painted. He bought the washer and dryer. He put the he made sure the screen door was on. He gave me another deck. And there's just no way in my mind that this man didn't know that he was leaving, especially because of the devastation of my daughter and her pregnancy and all she was going through, I haphazardly asked her to move in here with me. I actually felt like she wanted me to based on the situation that she was presenting to me all the time. And me being mama bear, I was like, okay. But I was nervous about telling my former fella, and I didn't handle it well. I don't know why I didn't handle it well. I just didn't. And it didn't work out for my daughter and I, quite frankly. It was devastating. However, even that led me to wholeness. So life is very interesting, especially when you look for you acknowledge that it's magical. I know that my life is magical. Even in the midst of heartache and pain, my life is magical. So he tells me he's going. He goes. He doesn't speak the language. As far as I'm concerned, people didn't have his back. When I tried to have his back, when I tried to help him, he shunned me away. Like, I got this. I'm doing all of this. Mind you, I had been his writer all this time. I had been his writer all this time. So um I was his number one supporter as his businesses. He had ups and downs as an entrepreneur. I was his number one supporter. And I was his writer and I thought he was mine, right? And certainly after 10 and a half years, I wasn't going anywhere. I thought we weren't going anywhere. So all of that contributed to the breakdown when I had to call it, when I realized that he wasn't even checking on me. I'm in this new house and his mind is gone. He is where he is and that's it. He's not really checking on me. I'm telling him, "Oh, there was a mouse in the house." And he's like, "Oh, wow." I mean, I was like, "Who is this person?" My children adored him. I remember when I was started talking to somebody, right? A former love, and who is currently my North Star. And he was like, and I noticed my son was looking at my phone. And I remember my son said, so and so was really good to us, mom. And I didn't disagree. He was amazing to my children. Okay, my son was in basketball. He supported my ex husband, talked about a program that was 300 something dollars a month. My former fella, he paid it. Um, he bought us laptops, and when my daughter's father was being horrible to her, he was giving her money, making sure supplying Pampers. He was giving her money. He hired her to do jobs for him. I mean, helped her with classes, paid for her for driving lessons with my son. The list goes on. He was good to those children. Okay, um, really good to me. And I'm wearing the ring he gave me too. I'll talk about that. Hopefully, I remember to talk about that too. So, and I'm saying that in case he actually sees this one day, he'd be like, "Oh, she's talking about me, but she got the nerve to be wearing the ring." And we're friends now. We're friends. My daughter doesn't understand it, and I don't really feel like explaining it too much right now. But anyway, when you've totally healed from heartbreak and you've gone from breakup to breakdown to breakthrough to wholeness, and you've had someone in your life that was really good to you, once you're over it, you can really embrace and love and that guy will be my family forever. He will be a part of my family forever. Okay. The love that he shared with us for the 10 and a half years has solidified him in my heart. And hopefully my daughter will forgive him for because she felt abandoned. She felt like her child who called him granddad. Um, he abandoned her, So I mean, sorry, my daughter feels like not only was she abandoned, but her child, my grandson, our grandson, because he called him his grandson, was abandoned. And she has yet to forgive him for that. But so anyway, so I have the dream, and a month after the dream, everything is unfolding. I'm crying the same amount of tears that I was crying in that dream, and I was crying. I'm feeling that pain that I felt. The same way how he was like, that's how he treated me, as he was doing his thing halfway across the world. He was like, you know, and then it all came crashing down for him. He lost everything. It all came crashing down. Um, how did I get through the breakup? The breakdown is that I basically shut myself off from a lot of things and a lot of people. I mean, I had an inner circle, but like I said, I just came home and I didn't tell anybody for years that we weren't together anymore. You just had to figure it out. Um, I loved on myself. I read a book called Falling in Love with Yourself. And I was like, I'm determined to do that. I always felt like I loved myself. I believe in the magic of life. I've been through so many things, and I'll share it with you here eventually. But I had been through so many things where I had to dig deep and affirm and give thanks and envision. And I manifested so many things that I knew that I could manifest, rising above this pain. And then not only did things blow up for him halfway across the world, it blew up for me with my daughter because we needed our own kitchen, so to speak. The neighborhood didn't work for her. The living situation didn't work for us. And that was a devastating end also that I won't share the details of. So not only was I suffering from the heartache of my love of 10.5 years, I was also suffering from the heartache of my love, my daughter, and my grandson, because once we went our separate ways, she had nothing to do with me for a year and a half. So I had to, but I had to grow from that, from both devastations. And when I tell you I grew, I processed, I hugged my bed for days at a time. I watched whatever, you know, uplifting things, silly things. I'm a YouTube watcher, avid. I read, I leaned on my conversations with God is a very important book for me. The Four Agreements, a very important book for me. Um, you know, I was in school. I went back to school rather, and I had a lot of conversations with myself. And just by that solitude of, and by the way, when my son saw that I drank the beer, and I'm sure he had seen the wine the week before, he very sweetly invited me out to do something with him. Um, he invited me out with his lady to go bowling, and that was very sweet. Um, but I did the work. I did the work, and then where my daughter is concerned, I realized once we were separated, and I had a chance to decompress from all the stress of poor communication, dysfunction, moving her in without having a really, really solid conversation about expectations. My bad. Our history of me complaining to my village. I realized that although I love my children with every fiber of my being, and as a big age, and as they are becoming adults, or they are adults of big ages themselves, I still have things that I want to fulfill as a mother, right? I want experiences. For, I want us to have experiences that we've not had, such as traveling together as a family just for pleasure. Um, I realized how immature I had been, how much growing I had to do, how much of, even though I'm a communications major, for undergrad and grad, my communication lacked. I had to realize how much I had taken from my mother, in terms of aspects of her that, how they say you don't want to become your mom. Well, there were aspects of her that I had become, and to accept that, right? And then as far as my relationship, I went from extreme pain to wanting to meet, a guy online to date, to knowing that I was going to substitute him, that energy. I wanted to fill the void with someone else knowingly, to saying, that's not it. I'll maybe circle the block and have a lover, to realizing that wasn't satisfactory either, to accepting the pain. I would record things on my phone. That was part of my release. I would just hit the voice notes and record things on my phone. I would tell him. I had some sisters. I have one, the sister that I met in Kemet. This is so interesting about how magical life is. We both of our fellas had said they were going to Kemet, and we both said, "Oh, if you're going, I'm going too." She was so instrumental in helping me deal with my heartache. She was so instrumental in helping me deal with my heartache that just by listening to me, allowing me to cry. My sister was too. My biological sister was very instrumental in listening to me and allowing me to cry on her shoulder about this heartache. And poor, my the sister from Kemet is very clairvoyant. So she was able to um, recognize that I was trying to substitute. She was able to recognize that I wasn't ready. And my sister was like, she's my writer. So she was like, oh, if you don't like him, we don't like him either, kind of thing. And didn't appreciate, how he treated. So that was always good when somebody's in your corner, like, oh, we going to beat him up kind of energy. Not that they would, but of course, just that helps. Um, Allowing me to speak badly about him, all that. So at some point after releasing, and certainly after releasing to the person who broke my heart, after about 2 years, I just woke up one morning and didn't know when it happened, but I was okay with this because I had learned so much. You don't get to be in a relationship, a healthy and happy relationship for 10.5 years, and when it's over, you don't learn from it. Even as you're in it, and maneuvering a relationship with someone for that long, you're growing. And but from my daughter, from the loss of my relationship, from that year and a half of not being in my daughter's or my grandson's life, which was extreme pain. And it was extreme pain again, simultaneously losing my love, having my dream basically play out, right? Um, the wisdom that I have from those two experiences, the the wisdom that I've garnered from walking through that fire of heartache and pain, reflecting on who I was, who I am now, which is preparing me and propelling me forward in all that I am to do as a life coach, as a public speaker, as a writer, as an adjunct professor, as a greeting cards owner. I always thought I was wise. I've been counseling people my age and older than me since I was 14. But the wisdom that I've garnered, listen, I have a life coach. And for my future viewers, if you're interested in her, I will happily pass her along to you. I'm a life coach also, but I would happily share the wealth and share the knowledge. Um, I told her that went from being upset and hurt and angry and devastated at the loss of my relationship, of my 10-year long relationship, to giving him thanks. I definitely thanked him. Now, when I cursed him out, about a week or so later, I called him and I said, "Now that I've released that, I want to thank you for this beautiful relationship. I want to thank you for taking me around the world. I want to thank you for loving on me and loving on my children, loving on my grandson. I want to thank you." I said, it's been a phenomenal ride. Now, his response was something I didn't expect. He said, "I don't think I'll ever get over losing you." I didn't expect that. However, as I stand now, and from that moment till today, which that's been at least 2 years. I can't remember. Time is just, oh yeah, it was 2 years. It was in 2023. And like I said, it took me 2 years to get over. So this must have, I called it, I told them that we needed to call it, I think in 2021, April of 2021. So um, as I was speaking to my life coach last week, I said to her, I said, I thank him because who I am today, I couldn't be that person without the experience of losing him. And I also acknowledge too that because she knows that we're friends, so she was, I think she was kind of asking questions to see if I was, if because we were friends, if there was an open door. And I told her no. I said, number one, I love me, and everything that I desire, and I do desire for a man to give me, I am giving myself. So my Friday nights are not filled with having to drink a bottle of wine or four things of beer or feeling miserable. I have more than enough to do. And I love on me in every way. I love on me in every way. Now, do I want? Do I have someone in mind? Do I want that? Yes. Today, no. Today, I am completing my certifications program. I am um, getting my first book published, my Mommy Toolbox published. It's being edited as we speak. I am uh, finishing my 4 classes. Um, I am in the gym. I put myself in boot camp. So for these 3 weeks, I'm going to my son's gym, TNT, Top Notch Training in Mount Rainier. I'm going to his gym. I'm taking Asa Nakinji's class in Mount Rainier on Monday nights. I'm taking my son's stick mobility class on Wednesday nights at 7:30 and 8:45 on Saturday, and then his gym. He's in the gym at 6:30. So some days I'm taking 2 classes. Like Wednesday, I took Asa, then I took the stick mobility right after. Saturdays, I take the stick mobility, and then I go. He has a class, where he's doing with weights and circuit training and all that. I do that after, and then I do hot yoga on Sunday. So I'm working on my body. I'm getting braces installed on Monday. I ruined my earlobes, so I'm getting those stitched. I am um, working on my clothing line, starting with having some things made in Africa. Um, I'm planning my dad's salsa celebration of life in November. So every day I'm working. I'm also working on relocating with my family to Panama. So I'm doing all this stuff. I'm not interested in entertaining love at this moment. My contractor just asked me if I was seeing someone, and I told him no. One might say if he asks that question, he might be interested. Tell him I'm happily single right now. And I am. And certainly if you want sex for me, that's not happening anytime soon. I took care of that when I circled the block, and I take care of that when I need to. Like I said, I give myself everything I need. Now, do I yearn? I do. But this is the thing about wholeness. This is the thing about wholeness. When you have reached your wholeness, you don't, you can yearn for something, you can desire something strongly, and you can have the discipline to to enjoy yourself and enjoy your life until that comes around. There's no rush, there's no angst, because you trust in the magic of life and you trust that at the perfect time in a perfect way, your North Star will come your way. Now, my North Star's name is Dwayne. My North Star is Dwayne. And Dwayne and I had a beautiful summer over 30 years ago. And it's either him or his equivalent. It's him or his equivalent. I we it was love at first sight. And he said just a couple of weeks ago it was the best summer of his life. And it certainly was for me. And you know you can love two people at the same time. Let's keep it real. You can love two people at the same time, but I choose to be loyal to only one at a time. I would love to see him again. And because I fumbled the bag when I went back, I met him in California. And after not seeing him forever, I went back to California, randomly walked into a place and saw him. And then I just, and even when he called me or called the house, anyway, that's a story for another day. But the bottom line is that when there's wholeness, there's no rush. I recognize that there are things that I want for me more than I want a relationship right now. There are things that I have to give to me. I pour into people. I give of myself so much. This time is time for me. That's how come I have so many dreams deferred for so many decades because I've been pouring in and pouring in and pouring in. And I have no regrets. This is my time. Aaron Lyon said, your desires is your direction. And I believe that. So right now I'm working on my desires. So my energy is directed towards my desires. Now, upon completion or when the magic of life chooses to take over, I'll know when the time is right. But in the meantime, I'm focused on my wholeness. I'm focused on the fact that I could love and desire a man with my whole heart, and I don't have to rush anything. I can patiently wait for the flow of life to bring us together while I work on myself. I work on fulfilling my dreams. Now, when it comes to the man who gave me this ring, we're friends. We're friends, and I will forever be there for him if he needs something, and it's in my power to handle it. If I can help him in any way, I can, but not at the cost of cheating myself out of anything, right? 9 times out of 10, if we need stuff, it has to do with money. So, not at the cost of cheating myself out of anything. I will not do that. You know, I'm excited about life. I'm excited about where I am. I'm excited about how fulfilled and I am. When I was in a relationship with my fella, I knew from the very first month we dated that I could lose him to this country. The way he talked about it, the fact that when he was married, he would spend months there as a married man. And we weren't married, even though I was married to him spiritually. We had not had the formal ceremony. And I knew I would lose him to that country. And the dream a month before this started unfolding told me that I would lose him to that country. And I did. I did. However, he did right by following his dreams. He did right by seeing it through. He's on his own journey. And with him stepping out of the way, because that's the other thing, the Four Agreement says that when someone walks away from you, you let them. And I had to tell myself that over and over and over again as I was processing the pain It was devastating to love someone that you thought you would be with forever. After 10.5 years, this man was interwoven into the fiber of my family dynamics. He's on social media with all of them. He was my best friend. He was my best friend. So how he did me was dirty. How he did me was dirty. And then how someone else did him was equally dirty, if not more. He put himself in a very bad situation. Didn't listen to me for that the decision he made when he went across the world didn't feel right to me. But I tried. That was the other thing I did. When I felt him slipping away from me, I tried to insert myself. Oh, can I help you with this? Can I help you with that? And he pushed me away, but then things started going awry. Or maybe he was trying to appease me, you know, and I helped him. Um, I didn't have a good feeling about it, about what he was doing. But there were three things that he did, three investments that he made, and none of them felt right to me. He didn't find the need to consult me, but had he listened to me, he would still have those thousands of dollars. Feminine energy is so important sometimes to pay attention to and to listen to, especially because we are intuitive. We are so into. I'm not saying brothers aren't, that masculine energy isn't, you know, but even all of that, you know, when I knew that I could lose him to this country, I was always very concerned about anytime he connected with anybody that was connected to that country. I was concerned, especially if it was of a female persuasion. I was concerned. All of that has left me. That angst and mind you, I didn't have a lot of angst. I'm not one of those women that I'm gonna check your phone. I'm gonna do that. I'm not like that. We really did have a grown and sexy relationship, but because I had an inner knowing that I would lose him to that country, anything connected to that pulled me in that direction. But overall, I'm not. And if I had any moments of anything like feeling like someone was potentially disrespecting me and whatever, I would speak up about it, but I didn't give it too much thought. But now I really am not, because let me tell you something. Again, I love the phrase. Thank you to Shira of Politics and Fashion and Justice. I haven't seen Justice podcast in a while. Where are you guys? Did you guys totally move to Substack? Did I miss that? Anyways, I digress. Um, as a woman of a big age, if I wasn't checking and double checking before, I'm definitely not. And one thing, the reason why Dwayne is my North Star is because being with Dwayne was always easy. We had a instant attraction and love, and just the thought of being with him motivates me and inspires me. And that's what you want when you're whole. You don't have to force it. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to alter who you are for it. The person that is for you will love you wholly the way you are. Now, might you have to make certain adjustments? Like, okay, he doesn't like to sleep with the lights on, you know? Um, yeah, don't squeeze the toothpaste a certain way. Yeah, okay. Or you could just have your own toothpaste and he has his own, right? But when you're whole, there's no rush, there's no fuss. You understand that the person that is for you and the person that you are for, there's an easement, there's a lightness, there's a joy. Like I always said, and I've been saying this since I was 14, people don't come into your world to be your world. right? They come in to enhance your world. They're not there to make you happy. You bring and take your happiness to the relationship, each one of you. You bring your existing happiness, your existing wholeness into the relationship. But you can be yourself. And I'm a Gemini. I have many sides, not just two. I have many sides. I have the quirky side, I have the nerdy side, um, I have the person who wants to dance, I have the introverted side, I have the yeah, side. I have so many sides, you know. Um, I in my wholeness, I can embrace all of that for me, for myself. So my person, my man, will embrace that. And the reason why Dwayne or his equivalent is my North Star is because I feel I'm joy filled just at the thought of being with him. And when we do talk and communicate, just the joy. And I don't need that much because I've given myself and continue to give myself so much. But I do want someone to hold my hand through life. I do want someone to wake up to in the morning and to share and discuss my day at night. I do like my own space, so he can definitely have a man cave, and we don't even have to sleep in the same bed every night. But I do want someone, like I said, I'll just repeat this, to hold my hand through life because that means I love affection. I love my lawyer lover. That's one of the things I love about him. Is extremely affectionate in public. I love affection. I'm a PDA kind of chick. If I love you, my hands are all over you. But it's PG. It's PG. Don't worry. So the breakup was devastating, and it lasted over a year before it actually happened. And the worst part was that he was a coward. He didn't come and say, Madi, this is the situation. He basically pushed me away, was self absorbed, and that was the most wickedest thing anybody could do to me. It was wicked and it was selfish. And that part, when I think about it, I understand why my daughter is still angry to this day. I understand. However, two things can exist at the same time. And again, going back to it was such a powerful conversation with my life coach. My North Star would have never done that to me. So the reason why I would never circle the block with him in any form or fashion outside of friendship is that my North Star would have had the guts to just sit me down and say, hey, I want my freedom, or hey, I didn't set out to be here. I didn't realize that, well, first of all, my North Star would have consulted with me and would have cared about my opinion. My North Star um would have been kind in his delivery. My North Star would have not abandoned my children and my grandchild because, for whatever reason, self-absorbed or cowardice. He did apologize and said he felt really bad about my daughter. Um, so because I know that my North Star wouldn't do that, I am grateful that he let me go. I am grateful and I'm grateful for the growth that I've had because I thought I loved myself while I was in that 10.5 year relationship. But I realize now that I had much more self awareness to attain. I had much more loving on me to do. And I am so energized to do all that I need to do for myself. And I don't know because I was very focused on him because he had a stroke, um, 5, 7 years prior to us our ending, or 5 years prior, I think, to our ending. And I was so caught up with him. I was always worried when he would travel. And one day my daughter said, "Mom, he is a grown man. He knows he had a stroke. So if he wishes to not do right by him, you shouldn't be losing sleep over that." So that being said, I was so absorbed with him in a lot of ways that after losing it, I could look back and say, "Oh, you know what? That didn't serve me. That didn't serve us." But again, most importantly, that didn't serve me. So I cannot emphasize how much I thank him. And looking back on how I felt years ago, my life coach knows. I she was like, "Madi, this is amazing." And she asked me if I was amazed. And I think because I've been through so much in life, I don't really get amazed about things. I kind of could see it in the vision. So even as I was in pain, I knew that the day will come that I wouldn't be. I just didn't enjoy being in the process at all, you know? But I'm so grateful to my sister Chocho, and I'm grateful to my sister Betty for helping me to get through it. I'm grateful for my daughter for uh, even being upset that this man broke her mother's heart. You know, I'm grateful to my son for saying, "Hey, mom, let's hang out." Um, and I'm grateful to me for loving on me through all of that heartache and pain, not blaming myself, um, going through the fire, not dodging the pain, but embracing it, processing it, talking it through, writing about it, reading The Artist's Way with my sister Chocho, reading Falling in Love with Yourself. I forget the sister's name. Um, writing, recording, just being, hugging my bed, eating, watching TV, making myself laugh, counseling through the pain, mentoring through the pain, loving on people through the pain, being a beacon of light and love through the pain, and still even staying connected to this day to the person who caused me the pain. There's nothing like being whole. And I don't care how lonely you are, sister. You cannot force what doesn't fit or what doesn't fit any longer. You cannot force it. You have to accept what is, resist nothing. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, this too shall pass, and still I rise. I have the power. I am walking power. I can get through this and I can come out on the other side feeling whole, loving on myself, not being desperate, never being a pick me, but discovering who I am, what makes me tick, what turns me on, being honest with yourself about that. Because in as much as I was devastated by the loss of this love, there were aspects of him and aspects of us that is not my ideal, was not my ideal, and certainly is not my ideal now, that I overlooked and loved anyway, to the point that the heartache was real. Because again, two things can exist at the same time. But now, after he's released me by the choices that he made, right? I am able to honestly look myself in the mirror and say, this is what I want, and I am shooting for that North Star. This is what I want holistically. So as I bring my wholeness to this relationship with myself and with another, I'm accepting and being honest with myself about the holistic picture that I desire and deserve. And that's the thing about wholeness. When you're whole, you don't settle for less than what you desire and deserve. You trust, you believe in the power of you to attract and manifest what you desire and deserve, because guess what? You are walking in that vibration by being the love that you wish to invite into your life. You are being the love. Every day I am living and being the love that which I desire from another. And I'm a powerful manifester. So my love is here. My love is here. That door is here. But I'm opening up some other doors first before I open up that door. Got to believe in your power. You got to believe in your power. I believed in it. And that's what got me from breakup to breakdown to breakthrough to renewed wholeness. Peace and love.